If one of the first steps to getting ready to go cruising is downsizing, the next question has to be, what do you do with all that stuff? Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and on today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast, I'm going to share the 3 main ways to get rid of stuff, along with a few little details as to what each method might entail. Today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast is sponsored by Quahog Bay Bedding, offering custom bedding for your boat-shaped mattress. Perfect, snug fit every time with our cinch fit system. Whether your mattress is on the boat or on land, Quahog Bay Bedding has the perfect solution for easy and beautiful bed making, including coordinated blankets and toppers. Tired of sheets that don't stay put? We've got you covered. Sleeping on board has never been more comfy or as easy. Visit quahogbaybedding.com to learn more. That's quahogbaybedding.com. So we recently moved. We sold our house of 20 years, moved into a stopgap house until we move on to our boat. That said, there were an awful lot of places we needed to get rid of stuff. There are 3 main ones, of course. Don't forget the ever-popular, let's just throw it out. But then among the give it away to somebody or sell it for making some money to help offset your cruising plans, that's a whole different one. And among those couple, there are a lot of different things that you can think about. So I thought I'd share places that we got rid of our things on our recent move. Very, very first of all, dump the stuff that isn't good. And if you're thinking about whether something is good or not and whether you should give it to somebody else, make sure that it's not just you think somebody might find it useful. If you've got stained furniture or cracked dishes or things that you would just throw away normally, don't give it to somebody else just because you think they might be able to use it. If it's not good enough quality that you might use it in your house at all, don't give it to somebody else. That's just maybe making them throw it out. So take that into mind when you're going through your things. So the very first place is, of course, throw out the stuff that you think needs to be thrown out. And I know that sometimes that can take iterations, but that's always a good spot. Throw it out. In terms of gifting items and giving things away to people, I found 3 different places that I got rid of a lot of stuff. The first is to talk to your friends who have connections to local nonprofits. One of my very good friends reminded me that the Haven, which is a local homeless shelter in Charlottesville, also helps people get on their feet when they move into housing on their own. So my excess collection of dishware came in great handy. I could give Cecilia really good dishes that we don't need any more of. We've got a good collection on the boat. We've got a great collection up at the house in Vermont. But I had crates and boxes of good dishware that somebody moving into their own house would probably love to not have to go rummaging to the local Goodwill to find. The other reason that was helpful to know about the Haven or to be reminded of the Haven was that the shelter feeds people and they always need dishware. So there might have been a couple that had some chips in it and they can use that to feed people who come through. A couple of my great big serving dishes that we don't have space for on the boat, and we already have our own number of extra large serving things up at the house in Vermont, I could hand those over to the Haven and know they're going to absolutely good use. The second place to gift items is Goodwill. Goodwill, to me, serves a little bit of a double purpose because they employ people of differing abilities, but they also offer a budget-minded shopping experience, so it's a double way of helping out. That's another great place to gift items. Another bonus with that too, if you are so inclined, is that they will often give you a tax deduction form. And so if you are taking tax deductions on your taxes, you can get a form from Goodwill to do that. I probably could have done that with the Haven as well, but that's another bonus with Goodwill. And then the other place that I find just incredibly useful for gifting items is a local Buy Nothing group on Facebook. And those groups their stated purpose is creating community while keeping things out of a landfill. And they ask that you be very specific and very local about it, looking for your very specific area. And I love those because you get a story with things. I posted a really lovely wooden box on my local Buy Nothing group. And a preschool teacher hopped in and said, I'd really love that for a treasure box for my classroom. And I just love thinking about this beautifully crafted wooden box for which I have no purpose. But imagine a 3-year-old being able to go digging through there and pulling things out or putting their own special things in there. So I really love that story aspect. And I think it absolutely created community with that box, or it did for me anyway. So those are some ways that you can gift items. Sure, you can put a table out in your front yard or up at the top of a road somewhere if you have that. That's another place that you could get rid of things. But just make sure that you look to see that it's gone before you drive away, so you're not just creating a dump that's not at the dump. You also can choose to offset the cost of moving by selling some of your goods. And there is a surprising market for a number of things out there. One of the things with this is that it does take some time and a little bit of attention to detail, but it is very gratifying to trade items that you no longer need or want and get cold hard cash in between. I would also caution that other than eBay or selling to somebody that you know, is that you probably definitely want to require payment in cash. And unfortunately, there are even scams around Venmo. So just be careful and watch out for that. That said, I came up with 4 different places where I successfully sold items, and there's a nice trade of cash in our moving expenses. I think we actually offset the cost of moving 100% with selling our stuff. Number 1, you hawk it to any audience that you have. And I'm sort of kidding, maybe, but you have your Facebook page, you might have your blog, you might have Instagram, you might have any of those things. Don't forget to let people know what's for sale on the places and platforms that you have available to you. Second is eBay. I actually just did a podcast on how to sell on eBay and some things to take in mind. And I will just reiterate here that just make sure that you're clear in how you list your item. The downside with eBay is that it can take a while to sell, and just be careful that maybe it doesn't sell while you're packing things up to take it with you. So make sure that you pack it carefully and make sure that you know where you've boxed it if you haven't sold it by the time you move. Craigslist is another one. The more photos, the better. We've had a little bit of better luck with some larger items rather than smaller items. The trailer in particular went on Craigslist. But I think a lot of people are maybe changing in their minds and changing their habits and going to Facebook Marketplace. The thing with Craigslist that you really have to watch out for, there's apparently some great big scam around texting and identity theft. And we were very surprised by the number of people who came back on Craigslist listings and said, I'm only going to deal with you via text. And we said, no, we're only dealing via Craigslist mail. And amazingly enough, the people went away. Surprise, surprise. Facebook Marketplace is another place that people really are having quite a bit of luck selling things. And I had some luck selling some smaller things. And I would say start with any local yard sale groups. There are Facebook yard sale groups. And then you can also tag on Facebook that says a list for sale in other places, and they'll put it just on general Facebook Marketplace. People will text you and they'll message you via Facebook, so make sure that you have Messenger turned on or that you have the app on your phone. And just be careful that you don't, make sure you're fair in how you are selling things. We would tell people that we'd hold it for them until, say, 2:00 tomorrow, within reason, 24 hours, and otherwise it'll go to the first person with cash. I also found that I would tell people, I'll let you know if somebody else comes and gets it. And that seemed to go a long way towards making people feel good about the fact that I wasn't I didn't want to lose out on a sale, but I also didn't want to have somebody be coming from maybe somewhere away if we had already sold it. And there also are people who will try to bargain down even a brand new posting. And think about this before you post something on Facebook Marketplace. Make sure that you remove your post once it's sold or mark it as sold. And then the other one is Nextdoor or a neighborhood listserv. And these areas can work both for gifting items as well as selling them. I definitely had better luck with our neighborhood email list than with Nextdoor, but I didn't have as much luck with those as with some other places to get rid of items. The bottom line is that when you're getting ready to move on to a boat to go cruising, you are going to have to downsize. Whether you are putting things into storage, moving into a different house or a place to live meanwhile, or just plain going onto your boat, it's a great idea to get rid of as much stuff as you can so that your move is smoother and less cluttered. Good luck getting rid of all your stuff, because I'm looking forward to seeing you out there when we're both sharing an anchorage somewhere. Have a fantastic week. Thanks so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love it when you share us with your friends, and we love it when you leave us a review. Talk to you soon.